About 2 months ago, I purchased this shop in Colorado Springs. It had kind of been abandoned or shut down, and I had, I guess, two goals. One, to get it back up and running as a general automotive repair shop, and number two, I wanted to open business and do some custom and high performance work as well. So I've kind of split the shop into thirds or thereabout. On the end is where I do my YouTube stuff and do our custom / fun builds, and on the other 4 bays down here from the alignment rack on down, that's where we do general repair, plus store my Mustang project, which I absolutely never have time to work on anymore. So today I'm going to show you guys our first custom build that we have. It came to us from New York. We're in Colorado Springs, so that was a very long drive. The car was actually shipped, but it's a very long away from home, and we have been very lucky to be able to take this project on and get it over the finish line, because much like this shop, it was a project that had kind of been a little bit given up on and neglected. So it's our turn to get this thing back up and running and get over the finish line. I'll give you the full overview of the build in just a second. Today's video is sponsored by Solder Stick, so we're going to talk about those guys real quick. They have some really cool wiring products. So I'll show you that, and then we'll get to the build. Now on this project car that I'm about to show you guys, we're going to be doing a fair amount of wiring. And one product that can save you time and hassle if you're wiring your own stuff is Solder Stick. They make a heat shrink butt connector that's pretty unique, and it's going to save you time, it's going to save you hassle, and it's going to make your projects go a little bit quicker. Save you time. Basically what it is, it's a heat shrink connector that has a little band of solder right there in the middle. So basically what you're going to do is strip the ends of your wire, slide them into the solder stick butt connector, and apply a little bit of heat, whether that's with a lighter or whether that's with a heat gun or, campfire, I don't know. Whatever you got, you apply a little bit of heat to these guys, and the heat shrink is actually going to shrink around that wire, providing a nice weather-tight seal. But most importantly, that little band of solder right there in the middle, that's going to flow in between the connections, creating a permanent joint for your wiring. So this is going to be weatherproof, it's going to be durable, and it's going to last a very long time. Plus, it saves you time. They have a 500-piece kit right here you can get on their website. I'll include a link down in the description below this video. And you guys can use the code LT20. It'll save you 20% off your order. This one has 500 pieces on the inside. It has everything on the small side from 26 gauge all the way up to 10 gauge on the thicker side. And they also have the same sort of technology in their ring terminal connectors right here. This is a 300-piece kit right here. Has a variety of sizes. Same thing. Use some heat shrink on there. It'll provide a nice weather-tight joint. Check out Solder Stick. Links below the video. Now, let me show you this pretty awesome car. Now, when I first made my video telling you guys about the shop that we bought, I did mention I wanted to start a speed shop / custom, high-performance side of things, and I asked if you guys had any projects to reach out to me, and I had a pretty good response. I've got probably, I think at the moment, I have like 3 or 4 confirmed jobs just kind of waiting on, parts and timing and things like that. But this is the first one that's shown up, and it's a little bit different from some of the stuff that I would normally do, but I am really excited because this car is, to put it plainly, this is a badass car. It looks awesome. It's got a good stance to it. It might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it needs some help, and we're going to provide it. We're going to get this project over the finish line. So first of all, this is what it is. It's a 1963 Lincoln Continental convertible. It's a soft top. I'll admit I don't know a whole lot about cars of this era in terms of what the options were or how, say unique, or I guess what I'm trying to say, how many cars they made exactly like this. But as you can tell, this one is not original. It's a highly modified custom, and it's mostly done, but our job is to bring it over the finish line because the customer has owned this car for, I think he said 5 or maybe a few more years, but he's never really got to enjoy it because of a lot of little problems that have just never been fixed properly. That's our job. So let me just kind of front to back give you guys a quick overview of what the car is, then we'll talk about some of the problems, and I'll show you some of the new parts that we've already got in stock. Not in stock, we ordered, but some of the new parts that we're going to be installing to help modernize this thing, kind of bring it into the 21st century and make it so the customer can actually use it and enjoy it, because that's what this car is all about. It's a cruiser. It's meant to be used. It's meant to be driven. So without further ado, let's dive right into this 1963 land yacht of a Lincoln Continental. So let's start up front here. Under the hood, it has a 460 swapped into it. I don't know what year this engine is, but the customer provided me with a build sheet. It's got a lot of good parts on the inside. It's got aluminum heads and aluminum intake, a fairly decent performance camshaft in it. It has custom headers, which you guys probably can't see. I don't have enough light shining down in there, but it's probably going to be somewhere around the mid 400 horsepower mark, which should be, you know, enough to provide a fun ride in this big, heavy car. I think this thing is probably going to weigh about 5,000 pounds if I had to guess. It's about as long as my extended cab short box truck, maybe a tiny bit longer, but anyway. So it's powered by a 460 C6 transmission in the middle. I am unsure of the rear end. I think it has been changed from the original one. It might be like a Ford 8.8, but we haven't had the car up on the rack yet to investigate. So not sure on the rear end. Suspension-wise, you've probably guessed it has been modified. This this Continental is on air ride. It has a Ride Tech kit up front, I believe, with their lower control arms. As you can see, we have the bags out on this side because the thing's been sitting for so long, there's some leaking air lines. And that was one of the problems that we were tasked with addressing, because the customer would air the car up, and within about 30 minutes or so, it would air all the way back down. So we had leaks pretty much at all 4 bags. So the bags are coming out. We're going to redo the connections. One of them, in fact, the fitting, I think, oh, Nick's got it over here on his toolbox, but one of the fittings in the top of the bags, like they tightened it with a hammer, I think, because the fitting was just completely ovaled out. He's taken it apart here and cleaned it up, so I don't know where the original fitting went, but yeah, this was completely messed up. So we have new fittings on the way, so we'll get that connected, and then we should hopefully have no more leaks in the system. There's a tank in the trunk that had a couple leaks in that we've already fixed. And let's see, what else with the air ride? Oh, it has the controller on there, which is, Nick's been doing all the work on this car so far. Let's see. It has, I don't know where it is right now, but we have an older electronic controller. The screen doesn't work on it, so we're going to have to probably update that system because you need to know what the pressure is in there. Anyway, what else are we going to do? Oh, the big one, this car had a really old fuel injection system on it, you know, like one of those carburetor style throttle body injection setups. The one that was on here was just old. It was outdated. The electronics, I think, just stopped working on it. So the car did not run and has not run since it's come here. We're going to be replacing that. I'll show you the parts, which are way over there on the table. You can probably guess where they're from. So we'll talk about parts. And the inside of this car is really, really awesome. We have it torn apart right now. So normally there's the console that goes kind of from there all the way up into the dash. It has an iPad on it that controls a lot of the electronics. So like the seats, the windows, the door locks, it'll start the engine. There's a ton of stuff that iPad will control, but unfortunately the iPad had died. So it's not an iPad problem, it was an electronic wiring problem inside the car with the way that the particular type of connector that was used. So we're going to get that up and working, which we actually already have. It's got a killer stereo in it, which I know nothing about other than it's got 2 pretty big subs in that. What does that say? JL Audio? 2 big old massive subs in there. It's got a bunch of amps and stuff back there, another set of batteries. And a lot of this like stereo stuff is kind of foreign to me. I have no idea what's cool or what, you know, how it works, but all I know is someone has spent a lot of time on the interior of this car. It has seats, I believe, he said, from a newer Lexus, but of course it has custom upholstery. I love the red baseball stitching right there. All 4 bucket seats in there, power and heated. It has a little bit older digital dash in there, which we are going to be updating as well. That's the Ride Tech computer there. We need to replace that guy because the screen does not work. Other than that, the other big one which we need to fix is in the steering, because whenever the car airs out, kind of up and down, if you go to turn the wheels, it binds really, really badly. Let's see, you can probably barely see right there a shiny spot on that drag link, I think. It basically hits tie rod, hits the idler arm. So that's no good. The shocks, they end up hitting the framework right here, so we're gonna have to do some clearancing. Basically, we got a ton of work to do to get this car drivable. It's a lot of good components here, but it doesn't work. Oh, the other thing, Hydro Boost brakes. We're gonna do a Hydro Boost conversion on it because it's heavy, takes a lot of power to stop it. So let me show you real quick some of the parts that we got over there on the table that we're gonna put, we're gonna put in here to modernize this, I keep calling it a truck, modernize this Continental. All right, so we are staying with fuel injection on this vehicle. We're not going to a multi-port, however, we are going to be using a Holley Sniper EFI setup. I've used these a lot in the past before with great results. It's fuel injection. It's gonna make the thing start up nice. It's gonna idle nice. It's gonna get as good of fuel mileage as you possibly could get in a car like this. So let's start with the brains of the operation. This is the Sniper EFI. This particular one, I believe, will support up to 600 horsepower off the top of my head. And basically, it just bolts in place of the carburetor, if you have a carbureted vehicle, or in our case, the existing injection setup. It has the computer built right into the throttle body right here, if you want to call it that. So all you have is a couple of external connectors, up to 600 horsepower worth of fuel flow through this thing. It has the standard 4-barrel flange on there. Put an air cleaner on top. It'll be kind of nice and stealthy looking. Also in here we have, just some basic wiring and stuff to make this one, to make it run, excuse me. Holley Sniper EFI is what is going under the hood. Now, the other thing that the owner wanted on this was a way to replace that older digital gauge. You know those, I think Dakota Digital makes them, they basically look like an old clock, a digital clock, and it doesn't have the most high-tech look. So, we'll skip that box for a second, and then we'll install one of these guys right here. This is the Holley 12-inch, just like 12.2 digital dash. So, I hope this will fit actually because the opening in the Lincoln is kind of narrow, but I think we got just enough room for this guy. This is a color touchscreen. We can put all kinds of parameters on here. I think if we wanted to, we could also put a sensor like in the air tank for just your main pressure. You can do a whole bunch of cool stuff with this. Holley digital dash. Of course, down there we got GPS, wiring, and a whole bunch of other stuff to configure this guy. So that's the gauges. And then finally, this is probably not the most exciting part of the install, but this is going to go along with the Sniper. This is an ignition system. They call it Hyperspark. Come on. And it has pretty much everything that we need to run the ignition on that. So it has every component from a coil to ignition box to a distributor, all plug and play, designed to work specifically with the Holley Sniper. So we've got an ignition wiring harness here. This is the, one half away. This is actually the CDI box. That guy right there. Of course, we've got the color black, so it'll kind of blend in underneath the car. That's the CDI ignition. Put this away. This box here, this is going to be the coil. Again, everything is designed to kind of plug and play with each other, so install should go fairly easily. Get some wires, plug boot, and the coil itself. Come on. All right, that's the coil right there. And of course, finally, we have the distributor. Make a little bit of space here. There you have it, Hyperspark distributor. So, between all these boxes which we just chaotically showed you, we have a complete engine control system. We have the injection, we have the computer, we have the ignition. The cool thing about this is it'll allow the the sniper to control spark timing. So if you want to have it advanced and retarded for, say, boost, which this engine won't be boosted, but just, you know, like a distributor normally would do mechanically, this will do electronically in terms of advancing and retarding the timing. So that's what we're going to be doing, not the next video, but that's what we're doing next on the Lincoln. As soon as we get the air suspension squared away, we're updating the injection. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the 63 Continental, and that is our plan. I think in terms of just like the order that we're going to tackle this in, the air suspension, getting it to not leak is our first priority, so we can actually, you know, air the thing up and drive it whenever we get the engine running. That's the second priority, is get the thing so it'll actually run. I'm really excited to hear how it sounds because number one, it's a big block. I like big blocks. And number two, it has a really custom exhaust underneath, which when we get it up on the rack, I will show you guys that. So fuel injection is going to be priority number 2. After that, we will work on the interior, getting the digital dash in place and finishing up all the electronic gremlins that we've been chasing down in there. And then finally, once we get it up on the rack, we'll diagnose the steering and suspension issues, meaning the binding. He said it does have a driveline vibration out back, so we'll try to get that, you know, just everything kind of squared away and make this truck, dang it, I keep calling it a truck, make this car, this Continental, into a vehicle that he can actually use and drive and enjoy and not have to worry about it, you know, breaking down on him. So that's our first project. We have actually quite a few more to come. I've got, I think, 3 or 4 builds kind of scheduled. Some are like this where it's a, you know, details thing. Some are complete builds, but we have a bagged C30 dually, which is really cool. We have a really clean GMT 800 truck. We're going to be doing some coilover stuff on, kind of similar to what I am doing with my drag truck down there, which, by the way, I'm still finding time to work on this in and amongst all the other shop stuff. In terms of other projects, we have an LS swap in a Wagoneer, which is going to be here, I think, in June-ish. Let's see, I thought there was one more that we had kind of scheduled. But anyway, that's kind of some of the stuff that we have to look forward to on the high performance / custom shop side of things. I'll give you guys sort of weekly updates on how the business of running the regular shop is going, because that's always an adventure. What else was I going to say? I think that's kind of it. That's what I've been up to. Bandimere opens, that's the quarter mile that we now have very close to the house. Bandimere opens, I think, next month. And I do have some more parts on the way for the ugly truck. Actually, if you guys are longtime viewers, we have a stock 8.1 with a big massive turbo on it. I'm going to reset my goal for this year. I want to try to run a 9. I know that's a lofty goal, but I want to try to run a 9 on the stock bottom end. But we do have some hard parts we're going to change, specifically some stuff in the valve train. I don't want to get into too much detail because we will have a dedicated video on that, maybe a bigger turbo. But I am going to continue to push the Junkyard 8.1 a little bit further this year, mainly because I want to know what the limits are, and secondly because, well, this project is going to take forever to get done at the rate I've been able to work on it, because I now have to run a shop or something. Anyway, no complaints, guys. Life is good. I am really excited with how things are going. We're off to a great start. Nick's been with me for, I think, 3 or 4 weeks now. We have our second helper who's starting. He's going to be kind of more up front and helping to manage, you know, the business side of things in terms of answering the phones and talking to customers and all that good stuff. That's where I've been spending 90% of my time lately, is just doing that stuff, so that'll be a big help. What else? That's pretty much what I've been up to, guys. I am trying like crazy to get back to a schedule where I can upload twice a week, but as you can imagine, there's a lot going on, and I feel like I'm pulled in a million different directions. But like I said a second ago, life is good, guys. I am happy. Things are off to a great start, and we are going to continue to put lots of effort into this whole shop / business / speed shop / YouTube channel / craziness that I've signed up for. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.